Hello and welcome to Data Planet. I'm Emma Davis, and today's guest is Rob Stanley, Senior Director of Growth Marketing at Miva. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Hey, thanks for having me, Emma. I appreciate it.
All right, so to kick things off, tell me about Miva. What is it you guys do, and what do your customers look like?
Yeah, so Miva is an e-commerce platform that's built for B2B and D2C. It's usually for people who've outgrown some of the more basic, let's say, e-commerce hosting platforms. We have a lot more integration built in. It's mainly targeting, I would say, more enterprise level or more advanced sellers. Let's say maybe $1 million and up. I don't know if $1 million up be considered enterprise level, but you never know, right? So, we have a lot of features built in that a lot of times others will have plugins for, which can bog down your e-commerce platform, slow down your platform. I actually was a user of the platform for 15 years when I ran my own business selling electronic and iPhone parts back in the day, which I've talked about before in the past with other people. You can go look it up. So it's a great platform. It's definitely built for stability. It's been around since 1997, if I'm not mistaken, before Google.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been around a long time. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know our name, but we're changing that and we're going out there and letting people know about Miva and what we can do and how we can help people when it comes to e-commerce.
Awesome. And so, just without naming names, any competitors, because I'm not looking for any backlash, I've just been in the headlines so much lately. I just need a break. But what is one feature that comes to mind that, if you're if you're ready for Miva, this is the thing that you're really gonna love transitioning off of one of those other platforms that maybe people know more about?
Yeah, without mentioning any, I would say, plugins is a big thing because a lot of the platforms require you to put like an extension or a plugin to really make different features happen. And we have a lot of those features already built into our standard platform that comes standard when you get it. I would say that's one of the biggest things. Plus, large catalogs. So if people have a large catalog, uh, without naming certain customers, we have a customer that has over 1 million SKUs and it's running perfectly fine on our platform and it wasn't running so well on other platforms. So we're not here to talk bad about others, but definitely Miva has been built from the ground up back in the day. Like I was saying earlier, it's been around since 97. So it's had a lot of growth and it's built specifically for e-commerce sellers. It handles a lot of those problems that people run into on other platforms. And we have tons of information on our website at miva.com. People can go check it out. So we don't need to go super detailed into it. But if you're not happy with your e-commerce platform, maybe take a look at Miva.
Nice. Okay. Uh, I'm going to switch gears because I want to spend most of this time not talking about Miva. Sorry, Miva, but talking about this really interesting, I think, very pervasive challenge that Miva is approaching in an interesting way. So, one of the big battles in marketing, and this goes back to my very first episode of Data Planet, is balancing innovation and testing against things that are safer bets or tried and true standbys or things that feel like, this is has always worked for us or seems to be working dependably now, so let's just stick to that. Like, companies tend to fall either at, we're just going to try a whole bunch of stuff and never really know what's working, or we're just going to stick with what we know is working and never explore beyond that. And Miva has addressed that challenge and that dichotomy in an interesting way. They hired you to try things. So talk a bit about your role. How do you, first of all, what is your role? What are you doing functionally within Miva?
Yeah. So I think just to back up a little, I think you hit that right. A lot of people do get in that rut of that day to day and don't want to try certain things. And I won't say Miva absolutely did that, but definitely I was brought in to try new things and things I've done in the past with other companies. And some of those things are like going to trade shows, right? So there's a right way to go to a trade show and there's wrong ways to go to a trade show. Now, this is coming from a person that has done over 100 trade shows, well over 100 trade shows. And I mean, I was averaging 25, 30 trade shows a year, right? So I'm going to give this in a two-parter. If you're going to trade shows where you're actually have a booth and you're paying to be a sponsor of that trade show or have an exhibitor of that trade show, There's things you need to do. You need to prep ahead of time. You need to do things like let people know you're going to be at that show on social media. And then when you get there, how many times, Emma, do people get there and they just sit behind there waiting for customers to come to them? That is
Why
not the
doesn't
right way
why
to
doesn't
do it.
anybody like me? Why is nobody coming to talk to
Why
me?
is nobody signing up? Like, we're the best one out there. And it's like, so you need to get out and you need to be in front of that booth. And one of the things I would teach a lot of the people that came to the company previously when we were exhibiting at a lot of trade show is we don't ever sit behind the table, right? We're out there, we're talking to every customers, we're walking around while somebody's still at the booth area, but we're talking to everybody walking by. Just make a conversation, find out what their pain points are. Probably it's something that even if it doesn't have anything to do with our company, we're partners with a lot of other companies. So we were able to maybe guide them over to a solution. Now, on the Miva side, what we've been doing is we have a few different niches that we're really good at, besides all of them, but there's a few that we've kind of targeted in, right? And that's the automotive space and the outdoor space. Now, going to some of those and being a software company and sitting or having a booth really isn't the right thing because the people walking around are not our customers, but the people behind the booths are our customers. So what we've done is we'll go to some of these events and we'll go and we try to schedule first of all ahead of time. LinkedIn's such a great, powerful platform, right? We do a lot of AI research to find out who is going to be at these shows, already look at what their pain points are, meaning what platform they're on. So we kind of know certain platforms will have certain pain points. And then we try to reach out to them on LinkedIn ahead of time before we even show up at a show. And then when we do, usually we've gotten a pretty good response. So, quick tip, your first message on something like this should be a yes no question. And I'll give you the exact wording I use. Are you going to be at XYZ show next week? And then yes or no, right? And then if they'll say either yes, and I'll say, oh, what's your booth number? Or, could I schedule a little time with you to just come by and talk with you? Or, hey, I'll see you at the booth. Those are the best starting points when you're trying to make a conversation. I mean, and I get slammed every day on LinkedIn with people trying to sell me stuff instantly. First thing I connect with them, immediately I get a message and it's like, here, use our service, use our platform, use this, that. Everybody sees that, right? My idea is to break that ice and then show up in person and talk to them. Now I have a name that I've spoken to and had a quick conversation with, even though it's not completely not cold, but it's also not cold, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll show up there and that seems to work really well. Coming in with also thanks to one of our sales team guys that him and I go together, we have this little report we give them. And it's a quick report that shows them a grading system of how their website's performing. And we're able to give that to them and turn around and be like, hey, would you like to improve this? We could definitely do help you with these issues, right? So coming to somebody with kind of like, here's an issue and here's a solution after I've kind of broken at least the initial ice, it's such a easier pathway. And it doesn't mean that they're always going to be a fit and they're always going to convert immediately, but it at least gets you that first initial conversation, which I think is such a big thing. And that's a big tip I would definitely give to everybody on ways we do it. Other ways we've been, definitely doing things differently. We've do postcards, mailing out postcards. How many people still
In
do that?
2026, Rob? Come on.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Come on. So we've seen a lot. The previous company I was at, we saw a lot of success. Big shout out to them over there. And for basically, I'll just straight up say it. Yoni, awesome working with that guy at Gatita. He actually had that whole idea of sending out postcards, and I watched it work amazing. But you have to be consistent. You can't send out once. It has to be continuous. They have to see it. Because what we found was after about 3 or 4 tries or months of it going out, consistently, we started seeing people then signing up to take action, right? So that same thing works if you just stay consistent with it.
Yeah. And so one of the challenges with especially like high value deals has always been understanding what's working because it does often take, a lot of touches, a lot of individual conversations, buying committees, all that. And what you're talking about, trade shows, postcards, those are even harder to track than paid digital clicks. Like, in my world, at least there's some amount of verified, aha, it was this thing brought them here. So how are you validating that those initiatives are worthwhile and the right thing for Miva to be spending time and money on?
Yeah, so you brought up a good point. So what we do is when we go to shows, we set up landing pages. So we're able to track each show we go to by a landing page. Did this at my previous job also. So one of the things we'll do is set up landing pages for people to go to, collect business cards to do follow-ups. But one thing that's worked really good is if you're having a really good conversation, you feel it's going well, at a trade show that you're either attending or you have your exhibitor of, schedule 15 minutes with them. Just say, hey, love to schedule 15 minutes with you in the next week or two to follow up and just see if there's a really good fit here. And that allows you to get their contact information, not to spam them, but it just gives you a chance to get their contact information. So that's one thing that's definitely worked well, which we can track, right? Like if we schedule it, we know it's on the calendar. We've seen how many we got. So our goal is what we call 6 scheduled calls at each show. Now, a lot of times we'll get a lot more than that, and sometimes we get a little bit less than that. It just depends on the show. Now, we are going to shows that are kind of proven because last year was kind of a testing ground for shows, but we're still throwing in shows that are, let's say, just on the outskirts of the verticals that we've been looking at. And those are going to be testers. Now, we're not expecting to get 6 there, but we're hoping to get 6 scheduled calls. Now that's just something that we set as a goal to get those 6 scheduled calls. Now, sometimes they'll reschedule, sometimes they won't show up. That happens. There's going to be a dropout rate. And, but overall though, I mean, we actually, let's just say it like this. Last year, we had X amount of scheduled calls. And this year we had in the first quarter alone, the amount of scheduled calls we got the whole previous year. So that's a pretty significant increase. And I think a lot of that was just from the learning last year, what was working, what was not. So landing pages really help to be able to track this. Scheduling calls on the spot help. Handing out a flyer with a QR code without getting a follow-up name or email is terrible. They're never going to really click that either QR code or the domain you have on there. Get their card, go back to the hotel that night and send a quick email. Just say, hey, it was great talking with you and what you talked about, some of the pain points they had, or whatever it is that you're trying to sell, and do that follow up because it puts it fresh. Include in the email a picture of yourself. How many
Oh,
times do you get an email and you're just like, oh God, I
who?
remember I talked to like 100 people at that show,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to take a picture with which I have seen done in the past. That could get a little weird.
A little
Sometimes people don't
creepy.
want to
Yeah,
take pictures. Yeah.
yeah.
So include your picture, especially if you're in sales and marketing. You should be open to showing your picture and having your picture out there and let them know who you are. So that's a couple tips for that.
Nice. And so you're doing these initiatives. You're clearly excited, passionate. It's working. How is that, the work that you're doing, interacting with the rest of the marketing department at Miva? Are you like lone wolf? I'm out, pounding the pavement, doing these cool things, or are these practices then being integrated into the rest of the marketing efforts with Miva? How is that operationally working?
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, even as a growth marketer, even with me being in my own sort of department, you have to have all the marketing and all the salespeople working together. That's automatic. If you don't have a cohesive sales and marketing team, our sales and marketing team is super tight. Like we have personal conversations all the time. I know a lot about them. They know a lot about me. We do things that are outside of work when we can. Obviously, we're all remote, but when we can. And they're absolutely the amazing people to work with. My sales and marketing department is awesome. Now, how does that work? So, our marketing people that are, let's say, in the social media side, we have an amazing person who does our social media, does our uh, blog articles, all that. We try to make sure now I'm lucky that I have a past where I'm familiar with how to do all that. And I have done it for other companies. So we're always coordinating, like, here's the trade shows that are coming up. We'll send photos of us at a trade show. If there's a current client there and they're okay with it, we'll take a picture with them and we'll send the picture to our social media person to post, even if it's on a weekend. But usually, they'll post on Monday, which I'm not expecting them not to, to always do it on the weekend. But Slack's awesome because we could drop photos into it. We give little blurbs of who it is, what's going on. And then also blog articles, right? Like maybe we do a blog article about a collaboration we're doing, or maybe a feature we just implemented for a new customer or an existing customer. Those work out so well and those make great articles. So that really works with that. And then sales side, taking notes to hand to the sales team. So in growth marketing, it's more about me getting leads. I'm a lead source. What I always kind of say, I've got this funny thing, right? People always say that growth marketing is top of the funnel. I always say I stand on top of the funnel and I shove people into it. That's really what my whole thing is, which it's a little weird, and I don't mean that insulting, but that is my goal, right? Like they haven't even got to the funnel yet, and I've got to get them there, even to the beginning of it. And really, from that point on, the sales department takes over. But taking those notes, letting the sales department know what the pain points are, letting them know what they're looking for, maybe their issues they're having, maybe they're multi-store, maybe they have multiple brands. Which could be a whole different thing, right? If the sales department goes in there knowing as much as I could give them, it's going to be way easier for the sales department to address those and understand that right from the beginning than just going in cold and going, Rob sent us a, person, this
Yeah.
potential
A
customer and they know
body. Yeah.
nothing about it. Yeah.
Yep.
You gotta work with your, especially in growth marketing or just marketing in general. Sales and marketing have to work together. In fact, we used to have separate meetings for sales and separate for marketing, and that did not work. We are for quite a while now. We've had complete sales and marketing calls every week or every other week, depending on what's going on, that are together because sales should know what marketing is doing, and marketing should know what sales is doing. So those you have to be doing that. You have to have them cohesive.
It's awesome. So, in your role of trying new things, the marketing scientist in house, mad scientist, if you don't mind, in house, um, where are you finding new ideas for things to do? You mentioned the postcard thing, like, oh, I saw someone do that was awesome. I have a lot of experience in trade shows and all that. Do you have, this is my tried and true toolbox, or are there things that you're doing to always be looking for a new idea?
Absolutely. Yes, I do have a toolbox. Obviously, being in e-commerce for 20 plus years, running my own business where I could experiment with things has definitely built that whole toolbox of things I can try. Not everyone's going to work for everywhere I go. Okay, so we're still experimenting, let's say, with the postcard mailer, right? It worked great at the previous company. It kind of has been working a little for Miva, but it's still kind of hit and miss right now. But yeah, but you got to stay up on things. Listen, AI has changed things. I got into AI, into, let's just say, ChatGPT. I got into ChatGPT, gosh, close to almost 3 years ago. Like it was still just coming out of beta. I wasn't actually in the beta, but it was just coming out of beta. And I jumped into it immediately. And man, that excelled like dramatically the things we could do. But you also learn really quickly that, and thanks to Steve Simonson, you can look him up, good friend of mine, garbage in, garbage out. The better you input information into AI, the better the results you get out. Now, that's something that I learned really quickly because if you just depend on AI 100%, you are going to put out either wrong information or it's going to make you look bad. And you definitely need to be checking things. So, the better you put information in, the better you get it out, but always check it. Because even if you put the best information out or in and get it out, you still need to double check it. It's not always perfect. Now, Claude's changed the game. At least right as of right now, when we're speaking, Claude has changed. I was heavy ChatGPT about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I switched 100% over to Claude. Claude, with some of the things it has going on, the way it can build skills, the way it's doing with workspace right now, it's incredible. I'm able to automate a lot of the things I'm doing now. Automation took a lot of time. I've spent almost 2 weeks literally educating Claude on trade shows in two specific categories. And I'm still only getting about a 85-90% correct output, but that's okay. I figure as we go, it'll definitely learn. Now, as soon as I switch to another category of a trade show, I'm sure I'm going to have to reteach it again. So, but the fact that I'm pretty sure that even the 2 weeks I spent, if we're doing 25 trade shows by the end of this year, or throughout this year, you think about the amount of hours I was spending, 3 or 4 hours, maybe even 5 hours per trade show, prepping and finding all these people, what platform they on, what issues are they having, who's their contact info on LinkedIn. Man, I'm going to be able to just breeze through this with just a quick check on everything to make sure it's right and be able to just immediately jump in. Now, I would say staying up with technology. If you're in marketing, if you growth marketing or regular marketing, you need to be definitely staying up with what's going on in technology, with the invention of creating some of these cool videos that can go out, being able to do things that will make your job much easier. And anybody who respects any workplace that respects AI also knows that AI is a great tool. It's not a replacement. Try and replace me, please do. It's not going to happen. The AI is not going to show up at a trade show and go shake hands and understand a person's issues and how to get them to jump in. So you got to be keep learning. And by the way, Emma, like just this week, recertified all my Google certifications, all my HubSpot certification. That's another thing you got to stay on is Google offers all these free certifications. So does HubSpot. Take advantage of some of those. Stay up to date. The AI certifications aren't quite there yet. There's some third party ones out there that I wouldn't trust if they're not coming directly from the actual companies putting out the AI.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's so multifaceted because you want to be moving quickly where there are tools and opportunities. You also want to be able to have informed conversations with people who are going to be asking you questions. Hey, you're a marketer. Hey, you're in e-commerce. Hey, you're, what if, I'm if I'm trying to succeed with my own marketing or with my own e-commerce, I'm going to talk to you about, well, how are you using AI? And if your response is, "Oh, I'm not using it at all," or like, "It's doing everything for me," like
Yeah.
it's another way you can add value to people and build those relationships because things are moving so quickly. There aren't people doing, a non-AI job, doing a job where they're not full-time researching AI. You just can't keep up with it. Like, you need to have other people, uh, and be building sort of this network of what's actually worth my attention and what isn't worth my attention and time. So, there's huge value add
Don't go down the
also.
rabbit hole. Don't go down
Yeah,
the rabbit hole. Really
yeah,
focus.
yeah,
And what helps is like I'm on a bunch of Facebook groups that are AI. I'm always checking for AI type things. Let's say on TikTok, people will give really cool information like, "Hey, here's what I use to get these results on certain things." I will take that. Listen, I am all about stealing something that somebody else has done on AI to make my job easier, make my life easier.
yep,
Absolutely, 100%. I don't
yep,
need to reinvent the wheel here. So
yep,
you're absolutely right. You got to be staying up with all of it, and definitely keep an eye out on what's going on and move
yeah,
with it.
yeah. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up there. Listeners, if you want to learn more about Rob and Miva, details will be in the show notes. Rob, thank you so much for joining me today on Data Planet.
Thanks, Emma.